Hello. Welcome back to the channel and my Austin Allegro project. Guys, I've got a ton of work ahead of me to start today. I need to finish preparing and detailing the donor engine, which means partially stripping it down. We're going to take the cylinder head off George because we know that's a good unit that's been refurbished. So that's going to go onto the donor engine. We need to fit a new water pump, have a look at the timing chain, all kind of gasket and seal. We'll probably change that. Have a look at the condition of the clutch just to see what that's like. Because while it's all apart, it makes sense to change what we can. But we're trying to do this on a budget, so I'm not going to go too mental. But then, of course, once that engine's ready to swap over, we need to get the old one out of George, which means drive shafts out, disconnecting the gear linkage, ancillaries like the alternator's got to come off, all the coolant hoses, drop the oil. So there's a lot of work, so I need to stop talking and get on with it. So catch up with you in a sec. Right, next thing I want to do is remove the timing chain cover and change the oil seal, which is behind this crankshaft pulley. So I need to just knock this washer back and then get the crankshaft pulley bolt off. For those interested, that's a 34mm nut, so you'll need a 34mm socket. Right, I'm going to charge the battery for my window gun because it's not got enough beans. The problem is when I'm trying to do this, it's turning with the engine, which it will do naturally. Of course, if this engine was still in the car, you'd be able to put it into gear, put your foot on the brake and work against it, but because it's out of the car, it's just going to free turn. So the only other way around this is to get the starter motor off and put a pry bar between the teeth of the flywheel, which I don't like doing. So I think this is an ideal time to stop and have a cup of tea in the pools. I'll clean up my tools and I'll come back to this tomorrow because I've got a couple of days off work now. We'll get the mating surface of the head cleaned up, we'll get a new water pump on there and change that timing chain oil seal. So a few jobs to do yet, and then once that engine's ready to fit in the car, we'll start getting George's engine out. So lots to do. Catch up with you in a few days. Right, it is now a few days later. I've made some progress. I've got some time off work, so I need to crack on. I have already, spoilers, loosened the crankshaft pulley bolt, which I was struggling with in the introduction. How I did that was quite easy. Took the starting motor off, it's just 2 bolts. Got a pry bar in the teeth of the flywheel, locked it against that, got a socket on there, it's come straight undone. Bear in mind when this goes back together, we have to re-torque it to the correct torque settings. So now it's just a question of taking the bolt off, taking the pulley off, and we can get all these nuts that hold the timing chain cover on, get the gasket changed and put it all back together. Good times. Before I remove this pulley, I'm going to time it up to the time mark matches the notch on the timing wheel, just so it goes back as it was found, if that makes sense. So there's a little notch. There's a little notch in the groove there, and that's lying with the teeth of the pointer, so I know when I put it back together, that's how it goes back together. Why am I doing this? Well, potentially it could leak from the seal. The seal's old, and after the engine's got some heat into it, it could start weeping. In fact, I think it was leaking oil because there was evidence of oil just on this engine mounting here, so perhaps the seal's already failed, so it's a good thing we're changing it. There we go. There is, if you can see that, there is a cutout in that pulley anyway, so it would only go on one way, but it's just a good thing to check these things. That doesn't actually pass in the way of the cover, but I'm going to get it off just so it's easy to work around. Also give us a good chance to look at the condition of the timing chain as well while we're in there. This one appears to have a nut on the back, that's a bit random. Oh. There we go. Excellent. Just got the fun job of removing the old gasket now. This is going to take a while, guys, so I'm going to have to clean up all this. Once I've got the remains of the all-soaked gasket off, I'll get some wire wool and just clean up the mating surface. You can be so careful because you don't want to damage or get any imperfections in the metal, otherwise it's not going to seal when you put the new gasket on, so just got to tread very carefully. Some considerable time later, we have a clean timing chain cover. You can see that, all traces of gasket removed, good times, because that's so important because you want a clean surface of the new gasket to mate up against. Now we come to the oil seal, which I'm going to tap out from the top. You're going to be very careful because you don't want to distort the casing, but luckily the socket which you took the crankshaft pulley bolt off with is the same size, just to fit in there snugly. So I'm going to put that on a flat bit of wood, I'm going to put that on a flat piece of wood and tap it out from the top, carefully. Correction, before I do anything including removing the seal, I'm going to check the replacements I've got are actually correct for the car, because I don't want to damage the seal that's in there if we haven't got a replacement to fit. So timing chain cover, and gasket, so we know that's good. Excellent, that's all safe. Yeah. Just put that in there. Yeah, it appears to be the right size, excellent. No part number on there I can share with you, but we'll tap the old one out and we'll get the new one in. Back in a sec. One oil seal, that really fought me. Let's get the new one in. Right, one new oil seal. They are an interference fit, but you want something to spread the load across so it doesn't get warped or distorted. So I'm going to use a socket and a block of wood and just tap it in gently. I've got it equally supported on two blocks of wood so it can't move that much, he said. I'm just going to smear a bit of grease around here to help it go in a bit. Apply even pressure. Okay, we are one step forward. The seal is in, or rather another seal, because this one did not want to go in. This is the correct seal for an A+ engine, however I did have another from pre-A+, which in theory should work and it's fitted perfectly. So difference being that this has a lip on the inside and this doesn't, but they both fit the same diameter. I've measured them and they fit with the crankshaft pulley on, so there's no reason why it shouldn't work. Either that or it's going to leak like a sieve. Right, so now for the gasket, and a little tip if you're doing this on your own is to put a little blob of grease around the back of this and it will hold it in place while you put the bolts back in. Top tip. So let's do that. So slow progress today, but what I'd like to do, or rather what I'd like to do by the end of this video, is have the timing chain cover back on and get a water pump fitted. And then we'll have a much needed cup of tea. It's all in the preparation now. If you don't do these things properly and you skip corners, that's when everything goes a bit wrong. Or can do. So just smear a bit of grease on this gasket. Seems like a nice decent quality gasket as well. It's made of a thick material, which is nice. Just going to smear a little bit in. Not going mad with it, but I just wanted to hold in place while I'm fitting the bolts. Right, that should be enough. Get that out of the way. So that goes. What does it? That goes like that. Yeah, it's perfect. So that's all lined up with the holes. I've got to hold anything. It's worked a treat actually. I'm going to wipe my hands because it's covered in grease. We'll get that cover back on and get it started. That's fine. Right, then there's this all. Ow! That's my leg. And there was an awkward one, wasn't there? There was this one here which has a nut on the back of it for some reason. So put that in next. That goes. Again, I'm not nipping these up, I'm just getting them started, then we can have a bit of a rejiggle, make sure it's all seated properly, then nip them all up. Another little one in line. Right, time chain cover is back on, crankshaft pulley is back on, and crankshaft pulley bolt is in and nipped up. We just need to torque it to the correct settings, which is 75 Newton meters. So I'm going to get my starting node out of the way. So jam a pry bar in the flywheel. That's what I was afraid of. Slipping. Oh, that's got it. Just going to bend that washer down so parts of the lip will come undone. Now we're going to take freely. Lovely. Right. Water pump and then cup of tea. We're getting closer, guys. Right, to the water pump. This is a chicken chow main version. It's a BMC Allegro Metro pump without the bypass because this engine doesn't have that. Part number UP073WP. It's also got M131 in the box as well. But it's got the solid impeller rather than the little Mickey Mouse plastic fan one, which is just terrible. So I've gone for the better quality one. I think it's about 20 quid. So it's got the proper fan, if you like, or pump impeller blade. But some of these cheaper ones have got little metal fins and they rust, but this is a solid or cast impeller, so it should be better. And it's going to go on like so, I believe. It fits. Always use a bit of this stuff when I'm doing gaskets. In theory the paper should be more than enough, but it can't hurt. Okay. Right, I think we're going to draw it there for the day, guys. Thank you ever so much for watching. In the next episode, I'd like to get the engine out of George. That's going to be much more involved, obviously. We've got loads to do yet, but I need a cup of tea. Thank you for watching. If you haven't subscribed, please do so already. It really does help me out. I shall see you in part 3 when we do a bit more. Right, clean up our tools and then a cup of tea. Oh, I'll get too old for this.